Welcome to another exciting edition of Million Dollar Peddlers. I'm Papergoy.
I'm Mr. Magazine.
Take a look behind us. Well, you see a green screen,
Yeah.
but everybody else out there, what would that be up there on screen?
Some encrypted message.
You told me what it was before the show. Gibberish.
Yes.
That's exactly what it is. A lot of gibberish. Shout out to Random Neighborhood Kid. He picks out the backgrounds. I tell him what I want. And he actually typed gibberish properly, which
Wow, nice.
surprised me.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would probably use a J.
Put him back in the spelling bee contest.
There you go. So today we're going to talk about Prince. Great artist.
He died a few years ago.
I was going to say great
All right,
artist. You want me to?
there. Purple Rain.
I never meant to cause you any sorrow. I never
Well,
meant to cause
you caused me a lot
any
of sorrow about a
pain.
second ago.
So we did a video recently about deals and how you keep buying no matter what because the deals are so good. And I mentioned how I picked up 80 prints, something or other like that, for $83. I paid $1 a print. And you talked about how you would probably buy the prints, but let me describe the prints a little bit more to you.
Sure.
They are all, well, not all, there were some 1790s German ones, but the bulk of the collection, 58 of them, were 1820s French ones. You want to talk about fun listing. So let me describe to you what I did, and I want you to think about this in the scope of not being a one-man band. I want you to think about it having employees.
Sure.
So I got the prints. They're in French, but that's not the best part. They're in cursive French.
Oh, jeez.
Now, I can read cursive. You can read cursive. We grew up being able to read cursive.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, Random Neighborhood kid cannot read
Nope.
cursive. They did not teach the kids that in school these days. They cannot read cursive. And I'm not sure where the cutoff is, 25, 22. So people are 25 years
Yeah.
old, whatever. At some point, they stop learning cursive. So that makes it fun. Some of this is some of the older style cursive as well. Now, if I'm reading English, I know the language, so I can, well, that must be that word, because what
Right.
else would make sense?
Yeah.
I took 4 years of high school French. I've got a passable knowledge of French, but not enough to be able to necessarily say that must be that word.
Yeah.
The other fun thing about it, this just gets more and more fun. There are prints in there of locations. Some village in Nice, whatever the case happens to be. They've changed the spelling at times of some of those villages. So I'm searching on this word that these are what I think the letters are, and it's got an I at the end, and the only thing that's coming up is with a Y at the end now.
Right.
So that has to be it. So I've got these prints, and I did a search, and it actually is, I think Engelman is the gentleman's name that did the lithography on them. They're lithographs. And turns out he's pretty famous. He commercialized chromolithography. He brought lithography to France. I mean, it's very famous. I was able to track down the book that they came from, so I knew all of that. But that research took me 15 minutes probably to figure out who he was, what book they came from, who published the book, what it was all about. No, I've got all of these prints in the French without a grasp of French overall. So now I've got to take these and I've got to put every one of them into Google Translate to be able to tell what it's about. Because literally you'll be looking at it and it'll be a bridge. Well, I don't know where this bridge is. I don't know the backstory of it. And that's another part which makes it difficult. I don't know French history. If it were American history, if they were American prints from the 1860s about the Civil War, oh, I've heard of that battle.
Yeah.
Oh, gee, I see Gettysburg. I'm betting this was probably pretty important. Or if you see something with soldiers and you see Gettysburg, it's probably going to be Civil War.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of these are about some of the Napoleonic Wars. I didn't learn that in school. Or if I did, I didn't learn the whole story of the Battle of such and such. When I say that it took me 5 to 10 minutes per print to list them, it took me 5 to 10 minutes per print to list them. Now, I did a decent enough listing on them. one tip that everybody out there knows, they're all standard as far as measurement. So I listed the measurement down below. I listed the image area down below. I listed where they came from down below because they all came from the same source. As far as, such and such book published by. I listed who the engraver or the lithographer was because they all came from the same one. So I listed all that. So a portion of it, I only had to do the work once. But on each print, I had to do the work to figure out what it was. Then the other thing is, you've got this print with the French description of what it is, and now you have to sell it to an American audience. So now you have to think of what keywords you want to use that are going to sell it to an American audience while still preserving the French down below. Sounds like fun, doesn't it?
No, not at all. Not at all.
When they sell, and here's the best part about it. They're long tail.
Yeah. I'm sure they are.
So I paid $1 a piece, put 10 minutes each into them, and they're going to end up selling, I'm asking $40. They're going to end up selling for $25. So after I take the shipping out of it, and you take this, take the fees out, this, that, I'm going to make 10 times my money on them long term.
Yeah.
Good deal for me. Would it be a good deal for you?
Absolutely not.
And why? There's a number of reasons
There's
why.
a lot of reasons.
Well, go into it.
You live and learn over the years what you're making money on, what's going to sell faster, what's easier to list, and so forth. And there's a reason I have probably 50,000 posters and probably some prints on a loft at my warehouse, just sitting there collecting dust. So if I give my employee, prints or posters, and it takes them 10 minutes to list each one, they're listing 6 in an hour, and say the average price is $25. Well, if they all sell in a week, what do you got there? $150, $200, whatever it is. Or I could give, French Vogue magazines for $50 a piece, and they could list 20 an hour, which brings me back $1,000 and sells much quicker. So from that standpoint, it just isn't feasible. If the prints were $100 a piece and they were going to sell within weeks or months, it's a whole new ballgame. But for $25 to $50 prints, it would just take them too long. It wouldn't be worth paying them.
Well, let me ask another question. I gave myself a headache trying to read the French cursive. How much employee satisfaction would there probably be listing those?
Oh, they would hate it. Yeah, it would go into a scared pile. Every employee has a scared pile of stuff they don't like to list, and unfortunately, a big print would take up a lot of room in a scared pile compared to a little banker box. But yeah, it wouldn't go over too well. They would do it, but and again, it's something that I'm not going to just give them 5 or 6 to do in an hour. I would give them, say, do them all day long. So if they work 8 hours, and they can do 5 and 6 an hour, where are you going? 50 items compared to 200-300 items they could list.
Well, and that's the other question is without you taking those prints yourself and listing a couple to start with. Mm-hmm. And again, I mean nothing against your employees when I ask this.
Yeah.
If you put that pile of prints in front of them with no direction,
oh, jeez,
how well would the listings come out?
They'd be very vague. It would be like French art print, circa 1800s, and if they could read an artist's name or anything like that, they would put it on there and maybe describe whatever the picture is. They would really
right, which is not the right way to list, but it's the quicker way to list. Yeah. And
95% of eBayers are probably listed that way because they know no other way,
So I guess the point of this is every deal is not a good deal for you. Know what you can do, know what you're willing to put into. And I'm certain that if that lot of prints, which again I got a great deal on, I'm not going to say that I didn't. I'm going to make money off of it. It was time consuming. If that set of prints went to an art dealer, now he probably wouldn't list them because they're probably beneath what he's willing to list.
Yeah.
But if they went to an art dealer, well, he probably would list them, but he'd be listing them at $100 a piece,
right? And
knowing exactly what to hype up. He'd be saying, this, so and so, and he'd be telling all about the history of this and about the history of the book and all that. And it would be a lot easier for him to research because he has some tome out there this thick that lists this guy and listed work and important work, first lithography in France, the third one ever done in the, he'd be listing all of this stuff and just completely hyping it up. And he would deserve the $100 a print at that point because his knowledge would sell it. So I'm not at the point where I can hype it up because I don't know that, and that gentleman, the art dealer, would have had a lifetime to learn that.
Exactly. Yep.
Much as if a collection came through, I'll give you another example. If a collection came through of loose vintage Star Wars figures and weapons, who would list it better, you or me?
Probably me.
Not even probably. I mean, I might know, hey, that's the Han Solo blaster, and I'm betting that lightsaber probably doesn't go to the Jawa. That's about the extent of what I know. You would do so much better than me. You would just take them and go, well, this goes with this, because there might be a couple of Klaatu. You may not know what his weapon looks like offhand, but you would match up people. That's Chewbacca's blaster. That's this with Boba Fett. That's this. So then you would be down to 4 blasters that you're not quite sure who it goes with, and 2 characters that you're not 100% sure. Didn't that have a cape on it? I would have to check every single character out. Maybe not every single one, but darn close to.
Sure.
You know who I'd have to check everything out for that you would blow me away in would be like Masters of the Universe. I know nothing about those whatsoever.
I'm not good at that. I'm okay, but
you'd be better than me though in that.
Yeah.
At least you would know what to look at, and you would know some of the characters. I mean, I know there's that character that looks like a tank or like a really bulky guy with
Ram Man. We'll call him Ram Man.
And there's something or other that's got like a TV screen on it.
Yeah.
See, that's about the extent of my Masters of the Universe now.
G.I. Joes, they came with a ton of weapons and accessories too. Forget that.
But even then, you would know or be a lot quicker at even accessing the sites to look them up at.
Right.
I would be completely over my head on them. That collection, I would wholesale out to you and leave a lot of money on the table. But for me to buy it, I'd have to buy it so cheap that I'd be able to, pick it up for 25 cents an item and sell it to you for $1.50 an item.
Yeah.
And you'd end up making big money on it.
Yeah.
Likewise, the prints, for you to buy them, you'd be buying them at 25 cents a piece.
Right.
And then you'd say, give me $1 a piece. Just get these things out of here. Because you'd end up, you'd pay $20 for them and you'd get 80. You'd be happy. You'd know I'd be making good money on them. But it's not worth your people's time.
Right.
So I guess that's something or other else to keep in mind. When you do get these lots of things that are just, I don't want to say they're beyond your ability, but they're beyond your ability they're beyond what you want to take on. They're beyond your ability to list quickly, but they're good. Buy them and wholesale them. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. In the G.I. Joe example, if I pay a quarter a piece, I know I'm getting a heck of a deal.
Oh, yeah.
I know I can flip it to you, and I know you're going to make money off of it. But you know something? Say there were 100 figures and I paid $25. I'd rather have $100, so $75 profit in my pocket, and you make a couple of $1,000.
Fine. I'll sell you all my French prints. You can have them all. They're on the loft, 3 feet to the left when you get up the stairs there. Have them all. You can have them.
I'd rather have you make the good money and me make $75 than me buy them.
Move on to something else.
Move on to something else that I know. Yeah. So hopefully that helps you some. If you've been doing this a while, you know what a good deal is. You absolutely know what a good deal is. And we talked about it in the video about Mr. Buys a Lot. That is the one advantage he has, is he knows people to wholesale all the various things out to. I pick up 50,000 pieces of China. I have no idea what to do with them. I pick up 1,000 Hummel. I don't know what to do with them, and so on. So build that network to wholesale the stuff that you don't want to touch. One thing, though, and this is, a lot of people have trouble with this, realize that you are leaving money on the table. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, because it's better to have money in your pocket and move it along and let the expert make the money than try to wring every single dime out of every single item, because you're just not going to do it.
And that's why at my shop it's a great advantage, because people don't want to deal with eBay. They got to, list it on there. They got to sell it, pack it up, deal with the emails. And, I buy stuff at half eBay price pretty much. And people love that because, I cover the fees on my end. But here, there's 2 seconds. It's out of their hands. They get half of what it sells for, compared to spending an hour on this stuff, dealing with the headaches that go along with it that they're not set up for.
Now, just to clarify, that's on good items.
Correct, yes.
Because otherwise, I got some French prints that are worth $40 each. I'll sell them to you for $20 a piece all day long.
Yeah, higher-end items for sure,
items,
definitely. Popular items,
Yeah. Now, French prints are getting really, really hot.
Yeah. If I were you, I'd try to buy a DeLorean, get a flux capacitor, and you'd probably do well, a couple hundred years in the past.
That's true. Going back to 1821, these things would be hot commodities. Although they'd say, why am I paying you 4 francs each? I can buy the whole book for 8 francs. And I'll be like, that's actually a really good point.
That is true.
You're selling us something you ripped out of a book. What is wrong with you? Sacre bleu! Anyway.
Okay, moving on.
So hopefully that helps you some. So don't be afraid to leave money on the table and lot things out if it's above what you want to handle. But if you're willing to put the time in, you can make a lot of money on it. Just kind of know going in that it's going to take a while. That ended up taking me 4 hours to list 58 prints. So I ended up doing...
That's with the research involved?
That's not counting the research up front. So probably 5 hours total into it. So I ended up doing about 11 an hour, but that's only because a couple of them were super easy. Right. The description was like moulin, which apparently means mill, which I did not know. Moulin and Vichy. I'm like, hey, mill in Vichy. I think I can figure that one out. But I didn't know that till about the third mill picture that there was. And I said, I know that word. I've seen that word twice before. So that's where it kind of builds on itself. And it gets easier as you get through the pile. The first ones were just brutal. I mean, it really was taking 10-15 minutes in the first couple. By the end, I kind of had it all down. So hopefully that helps you some. Comment down below. We do answer all comments. Hit the like button if you could, and subscribe if you're not already. I don't know why you wouldn't be. I mean, I subscribed twice.
I did. For sure.
So we'll see you next video.
Take care. Bye-bye.